This tutorial is to set up a loan amortization schedule in Excel. This is for when you have a fixed interest rate that you're paying a set number of payments over time. This is not for when you have a variable interest rate or the number of payments is going to fluctuate every year. The first thing you need to do is set up the general information about your loan. This includes the loan amount, the annual interest rate, the number of years that your loan is covering, the number of payments per year. So if this is quarterly, it would be 4. If it's monthly, it would be 12. If it's yearly, it would be 1. And then finally, the payment amount. Luckily, the payment amount is something that Excel will calculate for you. But before we do the formula, I like to make sure to go through and that my loan amount is in currency and that my annual interest rate is set up as a percentage. This just makes the calculations easier later on. So to get the payment amount, we're going to use the formula payment, which is found in Excel by typing in PMT. This will calculate the standard payment that you should be making every time a payment's due. The first number in this formula is the rate. For us, that's going to be the annual interest rate divided by the number of payments per year. This just will adjust your annual interest rate to a quarterly or monthly amount. The second number in this formula is the total number of payments that are going to be made. So for us, that's going to be the years times the number of payments per year. So if you had a 10-year loan that you're making monthly payments on, that middle number would be 120. And finally, you're going to put in the present value of your loan. And this is just going to be the total loan amount. Once you have all of those cells referenced, you just hit enter and your formula is set up. Right now it says divided by 0, and it's giving you an error because none of this information is filled out. Once you fill that information out, things will begin to calculate. Now we're ready to set up our amortization table. What you're going to start with is the beginning balance. And this just lets you know what your beginning balance is during this payment cycle. For the first payment cycle, the beginning balance is the total loan amount. The next number you're going to enter is your payments, and this is the number that you just calculated above. Then we're going to enter in our interest, and this is the amount of money that you are paying on interest during this payment cycle. To determine this number, you're going to do the beginning balance times the annual interest rate divided by the number of payments per year to adjust the rate to a monthly or quarterly rate. Now I want to make sure that my beginning balance is tying back to my loan amount, otherwise my interest rate is not going to calculate properly. Next, we're going to do our principal payment amounts. And this is simply what our payment amount is minus what was covered by interest. So if our payment amount is $100 and our interest payment was $80, we paid $20 towards principal. Then we'll have our ending balance. And this just lets us know what is left on the loan after this payment cycle is over. And this is our beginning balance for the payment cycle minus what we've paid towards the principal. This does not include what we paid towards the interest, since that's separate and not included towards the beginning loan amount. Finally, we have the cumulative interest paid. Cumulative interest paid. And so this number is just going to be the sum of all the interest payments we've made thus far. For the first payment cycle, it's just going to be this one interest payment, but later on it will be the sum of all the interest payments we've made. So now our first beginning payment balance is set up, except for our payment amount. The payment amount, since it's not going to change for every pay cycle, we're going to do a little trick. In Excel, we're going to put the dollar signs in front of the B and in front of the 7, and that simply will lock the cell I'm referencing. So now for all of my payments, when I copy this formula down, it's still going to give me the same number. So for our example, we're going to do a 5-year loan that's paid quarterly, so we're going to have 20 payment amounts. And so I'm going to copy this down 20 times. Right now I've got 11 rows filled out, and so I'm going to do 9 more rows, and that should give me 20 payments. But now you still see that I'm referencing the same cell I was, and it'll be the same payment amount for all 20 payments as it was for the first. To set up my second row, the beginning balance is going to be what my ending balance was for the previous pay cycle. As you see, our payment amount is already set. Our interest payment is still going to be the same. It's going to be the beginning balance times the annual interest rate divided by the number of payments per year. You can also lock the cells in this reference as well, and then just copy down so you don't have to type this in every time. So now it's set, so when I copy my formula down next time, it's referencing A12, which is my new beginning balance, but still keeping the same interest rate set up. The principal is still going to be the payments minus the interest payments, and the ending balance is still going to be the beginning balance minus what went towards principal. Cumulative interest is the only thing that changes in this pay cycle. And this is going to be the interest from the previous period plus whatever interest payment I paid this cycle. And you have to make sure that your parentheses are correct or you'll get the error sign in Excel. So now I have that set up, and I'll just copy that information and just copy those references down for every payment cycle that I'm making. So here I just copied that down, and this is referencing the cell above it, which is the ending balance. The interest payments are going to copy down, and those are going to be the same. And it's going to be the same formulas. The principal I'm going to copy down, and it's going to be the same. It's going to be the payments minus the interest payments for the whole loan. The ending balance is still going to be the same. And from now on, the cumulative interest is still going to be the same, since it's going to be whatever we paid previously plus what we paid during this pay cycle. So now our formulas are set up for our whole table, but as you can see, we don't have any numbers. So to test to make sure you did your table right, I'm going to put in some numbers to work with. We're going to have a $100,000 loan. It's going to have a 3.5% interest rate. It can be for 5 years, and we're going to make 4 payments per year. Now, if I've done this correctly, I should start off with a beginning balance, and if I had done this correctly, at the very end, our ending balance should have been 0. However, you can see that instead of going down, our ending balance is increasing, which is incorrect. And the reason is because we have our payment set up as a negative amount. We want our payment to be positive because that's something that we're paying out and is a positive expense for us. So simply to fix this, we go up to the payment amount formula, and you're just going to add a negative sign or a minus sign in front of that. So once you hit that minus sign and you hit enter, that changes that to a positive number. And if you look, our table now has our beginning balance for our first payment is $100,000. We're making the same payment throughout the entire payment cycles. Our interest payment is going down, so we're paying less interest as the loan matures. The amount we're paying towards principal is increasing. And our final payment cycle, our ending balance is 0, meaning we've paid off our entire loan. And if you see, the amount of interest we paid started off at $875 and ended up at $9,440 and some change. Now, since this is not set up as currency, you're going to get extra decimal points. And if you'd like, you can set it up as currency as well, or you can just leave it as a general number. So this was a quick way to set up a loan amortization schedule in Excel. I hope it helped.